In December 1989, the world watched in disbelief as the most feared dictator in Eastern Europe ran for his life. For over 2 decades, Nicolae Ceaușescu ruled Romania with an iron fist. His regime built on fear, secret police, and endless propaganda. But in a matter of days, the people turned against him. This is not just the story of a dictator. This is the story of a man who went from absolute power to being hunted, captured, and executed in one of the most shocking trials of the 20th century. Romania, December 1989. The streets of Bucharest erupted into chaos as decades of fear and silence shattered overnight. For years, the Romanian people had endured hunger, blackouts, and the crushing weight of Nicolae Ceaușescu's dictatorship. His disastrous economic policies, brutal repression by the Securitate, the dreaded secret police, and his obsession with power left the nation exhausted and furious. What began as small protests in the city of Timișoara spread like wildfire across the country, swelling into a full-scale revolution. Crowds stormed government buildings, chanting for freedom, while gunfire echoed through the capital. The army, once sworn to defend Ceausescu, now turned against him, siding with the people in a stunning reversal of loyalty. Panic set in at the heart of power. Nicolae and his wife Elena fled Bucharest by helicopter, clinging to the illusion that they could regroup and crush the uprising. But outside the capital, reality was different. The people were no longer afraid. Villagers, soldiers, and revolutionaries joined forces, spreading through the countryside to hunt down the dictator who had once seemed untouchable. Each passing hour, his world grew smaller, the walls closing in tighter as Romania demanded justice.
Romanian brothers, we come here to the Romanian Broadcasting Company to tell you that the dictator has fallen, to let you know that the country is free.
Ceausescu's escape did not last long. The helicopter carrying him and Elena was forced to land as the uprising spread faster than anyone could control. Disguised and desperate, the once untouchable leader now wandered rural roads, stripped of the power that had once made him feared across Romania. But in the villages, there was no hiding. The people recognized him instantly, the same man whose portraits had once loomed over every building, whose voice echoed endlessly through propaganda broadcasts. Now, face to face, he was no longer a distant dictator. He was the man responsible for their hunger, their suffering, their lost decades. When local peasants and soldiers confronted the Ceausescus, the dictator shouted commands, demanding loyalty as if his words still carried weight. Elena screamed at the soldiers, insisting they would be punished for betraying their leaders. But the spell was broken. The crowd did not bow. The army, once his shield, now held him captive. Dragged away under guard, Ceausescu was no longer the supreme leader of Romania. Christmas Day, December 25, 1989. Inside a cold, makeshift courtroom at a military base in Targovist, Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu faced their final reckoning. Surrounded by soldiers with rifles ready, the once all-powerful rulers now sat in defiance, refusing to believe their empire had crumbled. The trial was swift and unforgiving. The charges read aloud shook the room. Genocide, corruption, illegal enrichment, and crimes against the Romanian people. Witnesses spoke of starvation, torture, and thousands of lives destroyed under Ceausescu's reign. Yet the dictator interrupted constantly, shouting that he was still the president of Romania, that no one had the authority to judge him. Elena joined in, mocking the court and screaming at the judges. But outside, the revolution roared louder than their words. Millions demanded justice, and the tribunal would not delay. After less than an hour, the verdict was delivered. Guilty on all counts. The sentence, death by firing squad. Minutes later, Nicolae and Elena were led into a courtyard. Snow fell lightly as soldiers lined up, rifles aimed. Even in his final moments, Ceausescu sang the communist anthem, refusing to face reality. A burst of gunfire ended the dictatorship in seconds. The echoes of those shots marked more than the end of 2 lives. They signaled the collapse of one of Eastern Europe's most brutal regimes and the beginning of a new Romania.